The blue light of Earth shrank in the view screen as Commander Jack Harris guided the patrol ship Sentinel toward the outer edge of the solar system. His orders had been clear but strange. Check out an unknown signal coming from beyond Pluto. The signal didn't match any known pattern. It wasn't human, and it wasn't from any of the alien races humans had met so far. "How much longer, Commander?" asked Tina, the ship's pilot. Her fingers tapped the control panel with nervous energy. "Another hour," Jack said. He ran a hand through his short gray hair. After 20 years in space, he thought he had seen everything. But this mission felt different. The signal had appeared suddenly 3 days ago, and it hadn't moved since then. "Whatever's out there," said Dr. Emma Wilson from her science station, "it's big. Really big." Emma was the team's tech expert. Smart and careful, she had a way of finding answers where others saw only questions. Jack trusted her more than anyone else on the 5-person crew. "How big are we talking?" Jack asked. Emma looked up from her screen. "Based on these readings, about the size of a small moon." The crew fell silent. Nothing that large should be sitting at the edge of their solar system without anyone noticing until now. "Could it be a mistake in the data?" asked Mike, the ship's engineer. "I've checked 3 times, Emma said. "It's there, and it's not natural." Jack nodded and called Mission Control back on Earth. "Control, this is Sentinel. We're picking up something massive at the signal location. Requesting permission to continue approach." The radio crackled with static before a voice came through. "Sentinel, this is Control. Proceed with caution. If you encounter anything dangerous, pull back immediately. Do not engage." "Understood," Jack replied. He didn't need to be told twice. His job was to look, report, and stay alive, in that order. As they got closer, their long-range cameras finally captured an image. The crew gathered around the main screen, staring in wonder at what they saw. Against the black of space floated what could only be described as a ship, but unlike any they had ever seen. It was huge and pitch black, seeming to swallow the light of the distant stars around it. Its shape was strange, not quite round, not quite square, with odd angles and curves that made no sense to human eyes. "That's not possible," whispered Tom, the team's security officer. "Something that big can't be a ship." "But it is," Emma said, her eyes wide with excitement and fear. "And it's not moving, it's just waiting." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. 20 years of space exploration had taught him one important rule. When something seems too strange to be real, it's usually dangerous. "Everyone to your stations," he ordered. "We're going to circle it from a safe distance. No one does anything without my say-so." The Sentinel approached slowly, its sensors working overtime to gather data on the mysterious vessel. As they got closer, they could see that the black surface was covered in strange symbols, lines and curves that might be writing or might be art. No one could tell. "I'm not picking up any power readings," Emma reported. "If it's a ship, it seems to be dead." "Any response to our signals?" Jack asked. "Nothing," said Mike from the communications station. "I've tried all frequencies, all patterns. It's like it doesn't even know we're here." Jack studied the black ship carefully. His instincts told him to turn around and go home. But his duty, as an explorer, pushed him forward. "We need to get closer," he finally said. "Prepare the shuttle. Emma, Tom, Maria, you're with me. Mike and Tina, stay with the Sentinel. If anything happens to us, get back to Earth and warn them." The small team suited up in their space gear and boarded the shuttle. As they separated from the Sentinel and flew toward the black ship, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. "Look there." Emma pointed to what appeared to be an opening in the side of the black vessel. "That could be a docking bay or an airlock." "Or a mouth," Tom said grimly, checking his weapon. "Let's find out," Jack said, guiding the shuttle toward the opening. The darkness seemed to swallow them as they entered. Their shuttle's lights barely cut through the blackness. After a moment, they felt a gentle bump as they touched down. "Atmosphere readings?" Jack asked. "There's air," Emma said, sounding surprised. "It's thin but breathable. Temperature is cold but survivable." Keep your suits on anyway, Jack ordered. We don't know what might be in that air. They stepped out of the shuttle into what seemed to be a vast chamber. Their flashlights revealed walls made of a material that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The floor beneath them was solid, but strange. It seemed to give slightly under their feet, as if it were somehow alive. The material, Emma said, scanning the walls with her devices. I've never seen anything like it. It's not registering as metal, rock, or any compound we know. They moved deeper into the ship, following a corridor that seemed to lead toward the center. The walls were covered in the same strange symbols they had seen on the outside. I think they're words, Maria said, running her gloved hand over the markings, or some kind of record. Can you make any sense of them? Jack asked. Maria shook her head. No human language looks anything like this. As they walked, they noticed the corridor was changing. At first it was subtle. The ceiling seemed higher, the path wider. Then Jack realized something strange. The ship is adapting to us, he said quietly. Look at the height of this doorway. It's perfect for humans, but the rest of the ship has different proportions. That's impossible, Tom said. Unless it's alive somehow, Emma finished, or has some kind of advanced AI. They reached what appeared to be a central chamber, a vast round room with a column of darkness in the center. As they entered, soft lights began to glow along the walls, revealing more of the strange symbols. Something's happening, Emma said, her voice tight with excitement. Her scanning device was flashing rapidly. The ship is powering up. Systems are coming online. The column in the center began to pulse with a deep blue light. The floor beneath them vibrated gently. We need to leave, Tom said, raising his weapon. Now. But before they could move, a section of the floor suddenly shifted, rising up to cut off their exit. At the same time, another part of the floor opened beneath Maria and Tom, dropping them to a lower level before sealing again. Maria! Tom! Jack shouted, rushing to the spot where they had disappeared. But the floor was solid, again, as if the opening had never existed. Commander, Emma called urgently. Look at this. A holographic display had appeared above the central column, showing what appeared to be star maps and diagrams. Among them was an image that Emma recognized immediately. That's Earth, she said. And these other symbols, I think they're coordinates, dates. It's showing Earth at different points in time. Why? Jack asked. I don't know, Emma said, but I think I can access some of the ship's data. Her fingers flew over her device, connecting it to the ship's systems. There's so much information here. Wait, I'm getting something. The holographic display changed, showing images of tall, slender beings aboard ships similar to the one they were in. Then came scenes of destruction, worlds burning, fleets of silver ships attacking the black vessels. They were running from something, Emma whispered. Something they called the Purge. These ships, there were many of them once, they were sent away to save something. Knowledge, maybe. Or their species. A loud rumbling shook the chamber. Parts of the ceiling began to move, rearranging themselves. The ship's defenses are activating, Emma said, checking her scanner. We need to get out of here. Not without Maria and Tom, Jack insisted. Commander, we can't help them if we're trapped too, Emma argued. We need to get this information back to Earth. We can come back for them with a bigger team. Jack knew. She was right. But leaving crew members behind went against everything he believed in. Still, the rumbling was getting louder, and parts of the wall were beginning to close in. Get everything you can from that system, he ordered Emma. We're leaving in 2 minutes, with or without them. Emma downloaded as much data as her device could hold, while Jack tried desperately to find a way to the lower level. But the ship wasn't cooperating. Every panel he tried to open sealed itself tighter. Time's up, Emma shouted as part of the ceiling crashed down nearby. The whole place is reconfiguring itself. With a heavy heart, Jack followed Emma back to their shuttle. As they flew out of the docking bay, they could see the entire black ship was now pulsing with energy, its surface rippling like liquid. I'm sorry, Emma said quietly as they rejoined the Sentinel. Jack looked back at the massive vessel. This isn't over, he promised. We're coming back for them. As the Sentinel turned and accelerated toward Earth, neither of them noticed the small probe that detached from the black ship and followed silently in their wake. The discovery had been made, and nothing would ever be the same again. 3 days after returning to Earth, Jack sat in a cold meeting room at Space Command headquarters. Across the table, 5 high-ranking officers stared at him with hard eyes. None of them looked happy. "Let me understand this clearly, Commander." "Harris," said Admiral Ross, a stern woman with steel-gray hair. "You found an alien ship larger than a moon, lost 2 crew members inside it, and then just left?" Jack clenched his jaw. "We had no choice, Admiral. The ship was changing around us. Dr. Wilson and I barely escaped." "And you believe this ship is alive?" asked General Peters, his voice dripping with doubt. "We don't know for sure," Jack replied. "But it responded to our presence. It adapted to us." Emma Wilson sat next to Jack, her face tired from 3 days of non-stop work. "The data I downloaded shows that the ship is part of a fleet that existed thousands of years ago," she explained. "They were running from something called the Purge." "Running?" Admiral Ross leaned forward. "Running to where?" "Here," Emma said simply. "To Earth." The room fell silent. Jack watched the faces of the military leaders. Some showed fear, others excitement. That worried him most. He had seen that look before. The hunger for new weapons, new power. "What about Lieutenant Reed and Engineer Diaz?" Jack asked. "We need to mount a rescue mission." General Peters shook his head. "Impossible. If this ship is as dangerous as you say, we can't risk more lives." "Then what do you suggest?" Jack demanded, his anger rising. "Abandon them?" "Some are suggesting we destroy the vessel before it becomes a threat," said Colonel Wright, tapping his fingers on the table. "One nuclear strike and the problem is solved." "No," Emma burst out. "The technology in that ship is beyond anything we've ever seen. It could advance our civilization by centuries. Destroying it would be a crime against humanity." Admiral Ross raised her hand for silence. "No decisions will be made today. Dr. Wilson, you will continue studying the data. Commander Harris, you're on leave until further notice." "With all due respect, Admiral," Jack said, standing up, "I'm going back for my people, with or without permission." "Sit down, Commander," Admiral Ross ordered. "That's not your decision to make." Before Jack could respond, the door burst open. A young officer rushed in, her face pale. "Admiral, we're receiving reports from the Outer System Monitoring Station," she said breathlessly. "The alien ship is moving. It's heading toward Earth." Far from Earth, in the darkness of the black ship, Tom Reed opened his eyes. He was lying on a soft surface that seemed to mold perfectly to his body. The room around him glowed with a gentle blue light. It took him a moment to remember where he was. "Maria?" he called out, sitting up quickly. "Maria, are you here?" "I'm here," came a reply from across the room. Maria Diaz sat cross-legged on the floor, studying what looked like a floating screen of symbols in front of her. "How do you feel?" Tom checked himself over. His spacesuit was gone, replaced by his standard uniform. "I feel good. Better than good, actually." "What happened? Where are Jack and Emma?" "They left," Maria said, not looking away from the floating symbols. "The ship separated us. I think it wanted to study us more closely." Tom stood up, surprised at how steady he felt. "How long have we been here?" 3 days, I think." "It's hard to tell. But Tom..." She finally turned to him, her eyes wide with wonder. "This ship, it's incredible. It's been talking to me." "Talking? How?" Maria pointed to her head. "Here, in my mind. Not with words exactly, but with feelings, images. It's trying to communicate." Tom felt a rush of fear. "Is it controlling you?" "No." Maria shook her head firmly. "It's more like sharing. It's curious about us. It's been alone for so long." Tom walked around the room, noticing how the walls seemed to pulse gently, like they were breathing. So it is alive? Not exactly. It has an AI, but it's unlike anything we've ever built. It learns, adapts. When I was hurt in the fall, Maria pulled up her sleeve, showing a deep cut that was almost completely healed. It helped me. Tom approached the floating symbols. What is all this? Star maps, ship systems, history. Maria waved her hand, and the display changed. I can control it now with just a thought. The ship is teaching me. Tom watched as images appeared. Strange worlds, alien beings, and finally, Earth. It knows about us, he said quietly. About Earth? Maria nodded. It's been watching us for centuries. Waiting. For what? For us to be ready. Before Tom could ask what that meant, the room shuddered. The blue light pulsed brighter. What's happening? Tom asked, grabbing onto a wall for support. Maria closed her eyes, as if listening to something. It's moving, she said. The ship is taking us somewhere. Where? Maria opened her eyes and looked at him. Home. It's taking us to Earth. Emma worked frantically in her lab, surrounded by screens showing the data from the black ship. For 3 days straight, she had barely slept or eaten. There was too much to learn, too much at stake. The door opened, and Jack walked in. He looked as tired as she felt. Any progress? He asked. Emma nodded. I've translated some of their language. The beings who built the ship called themselves the Arbiters. They were an ancient race, millions of years ahead of us. And the Purge? Emma's face darkened. A machine intelligence. It hunts down and destroys any civilization that grows too advanced. The Arbiters were almost wiped out by it. Jack sat down heavily. Why would this ship come here? Why Earth? I think... Emma hesitated. I think it was looking for allies, or maybe successors. A young technician burst into the lab. Dr. Wilson, the ship has entered Earth's orbit. Jack and Emma rushed to the window. In the night sky, visible even in daylight, hung a dark shape that seemed to swallow the stars around it. They've issued a shoot-down order, the technician said. Military satellites are targeting it now. No, Emma shouted. We can't attack it. Jack grabbed a phone. Get me Admiral Ross, now. But before he could make the call, all the screens in the lab flickered and changed. On every display appeared the same message, written in English. We come in peace. We bring your people home. It's learned our language, Emma whispered. Then a new message appeared. Danger approaches. The Purge knows we are here. We must prepare. In another part of the world, the United Mars Colony's representative received an urgent message from their home base. The alien ship had been spotted from Mars orbital stations days before Earth detected it. This is our chance, said Director Lewis to his team. If Earth gets control of that technology, Mars will always be second-class citizens of the solar system. We need to send our own team, immediately. But sir, objected one of his advisors, Earth has jurisdiction over... Earth has ruled over us for too long, Lewis cut him off. This ship doesn't belong to them. It belongs to whoever can claim it first. He turned to his head of security, Captain Ben Knight. Prepare your best team. You leave in 6 hours. And if Earth forces try to stop us, Ben asked. Lewis's eyes were cold. Then you remove the obstacle. Back on the black ship, Tom and Maria stood in what they now called the bridge. Through a large viewing window, they could see Earth growing larger. It's beautiful, Maria said. Tom nodded, then turned as he felt a strange sensation in his mind, like someone was calling him. The ship was communicating again. It's showing me something, he told Maria. The ship's system, they're more advanced than we thought. It has weapons, shields. Why would it tell us that now? Maria asked. The answer came as a new image formed, in their minds. Silver ships, hundreds of them, moving through the darkness of space, and they were heading toward Earth. The Purge, Tom whispered. They're coming here. Maria's eyes widened with understanding. The ship didn't come here, To hide. No, Tom agreed grimly. It came here to fight. Jack stared out the window of the shuttle as it approached the black ship. After a week of arguments and meetings, he had finally gotten permission to lead a rescue mission. The massive vessel now hung in Earth orbit, visible to everyone on the planet as a dark spot against the blue sky. "Are you sure this is safe?" asked Captain Ben Lewis, the military engineer who had been assigned to the mission. Ben was from Mars Colony, sent as part of a new agreement between Earth and Mars to work together on understanding the alien ship. "No," Jack said honestly. "But Tom and Maria are in there." Emma sat behind them, checking her equipment. "The ship hasn't shown any signs of hostility. In fact, it's been sending messages asking for us to come aboard." "And we're supposed to trust that?" Ben asked, his hand resting on his weapon. "We don't have much choice," Jack replied. "If what it says about the purge is true, we need its help." As they approached, they could see that the black ship had changed. Parts of its surface had shifted, forming what looked like docking ports perfectly sized for human vessels. "It's adapting to us," Emma whispered in awe. Their shuttle landed smoothly in one of the new docking areas. As they stepped out, Jack was surprised to see that the interior had changed too. What had once been dark, confusing corridors were now well-lit paths with clear markings. "It's like it's been redecorated for humans," Ben said, looking around suspiciously. "Jack! Emma!" a familiar voice called out. Tom Reed appeared at the end of the corridor, smiling widely. He looked healthy and well-rested, not like someone who had been trapped for days. "Tom!" Jack rushed forward, grabbing his friend by the shoulders. "Are you okay? Where's Maria?" "We're both fine," Tom assured him. "Better than fine, actually. Come, there's so much to show you." He led them deeper into the ship, through areas that Jack and Emma had never seen before. The walls were no longer plain black, but covered in intricate patterns that seemed to glow from within. "The ship has been changing," Tom explained as they walked. "Rebuilding itself to be more comfortable for humans. It's trying to communicate better with us." "You talk like it's alive," Ben said. Tom smiled. "In a way it is. We've started calling it Shadow." "You named it?" Emma asked. "Maria did. She's formed the strongest connection with it." They entered a large, circular room with a domed ceiling that showed the stars outside as if there were no hull between them in space. In the center of the room, Maria sat cross-legged on the floor, her eyes closed. Around her hovered dozens of glowing symbols that moved and changed. "Maria," Jack called softly. Her eyes opened, and she smiled. "You came back." She stood up, and the symbols followed her movement, still hovering in the air. "I knew you would." Emma stepped forward, fascinated by the floating symbols. "What are you doing?" "Learning," Maria replied. "Shadow is teaching me about the Arbiters, the race that built it. They were incredible, Emma. Their technology, their knowledge, it's beyond anything we could imagine." "Shadow?" Jack asked, looking around. "The ship," Tom explained. "That's what we call it now." As if in response, the lights in the room pulsed, gently. "It can hear us?" Ben asked, his hand moving to his weapon again. "It can," Maria said. "And it wants to help us. The purge is coming, Jack. Shadow has detected their scout ships at the edge of our solar system." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "How long do we have?" "Months, maybe less," Tom said. "But Shadow wasn't sent here just to warn us. It was sent to prepare us." Maria waved her hand, and the symbols around her changed, forming what looked like schematics for weapons, shields, and engines. "The Arbiters knew they were losing their war against the Purge," she explained. "So they built 12 ships like Shadow and sent them in different directions, each carrying part of their knowledge and technology. They hoped that the ships would find species worthy of their legacy, species that could succeed where they had failed." "And Shadow chose humans?" Emma asked. Maria nodded. "It's been watching Earth for centuries, learning our languages, studying our history. It believes we have the right qualities." "What qualities?" Ben asked skeptically. "Adaptability, creativity, compassion," Tom said. "The Arbiters were logical, advanced, but they lacked something that humans have. the ability to think outside rules and patterns. The Purge always won because it could predict what the Arbiters would do. Jack looked around the room, trying to process everything. So this ship wants to give us advanced alien technology to fight a war against machine intelligences that wiped out their creators? Yes, Maria said simply. But it's more than that. Shadow doesn't just want to give us technology. It wants to bond with us. Bond? Emma asked. What does that mean? Maria touched her temple. A connection. Tom and I have already started to form it. Shadow can share information directly with our minds, and we can control its systems with our thoughts. Ben stepped back. That sounds like mind control. It's not, Tom assured him. It's more like partnership. The ship needs humans to make decisions, to strategize. We need the ship's knowledge and capabilities. As they spoke, the room changed around them. The walls became transparent, showing the earth below and the stars above. In the distance, barely visible, tiny silver points of light could be seen moving against the blackness. The Purge scout ships, Maria said quietly. They're still far away, but they're coming. Jack stared at the distant threat, then turned to Emma. What do you think? Emma's eyes were wide with wonder as she studied the floating symbols. This is the greatest discovery in human history, Jack. If we can understand even a fraction of this knowledge. Before she could finish, a loud alarm echoed through the ship. The transparent walls flashed red. What's happening? Jack asked. Tom closed his eyes for a moment as if listening. Another ship is approaching fast. Maria nodded. It's from Mars, armed. Ben looked uncomfortable. That's not possible. Mars and Earth agreed to work together on this. Well, someone didn't get the message, Jack said grimly. On the transparent wall, they could see a sleek military vessel approaching Shadow, weapons ready. They're going to attack, Maria said, her voice tight with worry. Why? Emma asked. We're cooperating, aren't we? Ben looked away. Not everyone on Mars trusts Earth to share whatever technology you find here. Some believe whoever controls them. This ship controls the future of the solar system. The Mars ship fired a warning shot that passed close to Shadow's hull. What do we do? Tom asked, looking at Jack. Before Jack could answer, Maria closed her eyes. I can stop them without hurting them. The symbols around her moved faster, forming complex patterns. Outside, a pulse of energy spread from Shadow, washing over the Mars ship. Its lights flickered and went out, leaving it drifting powerless. In space. I just disabled their systems, Maria explained, opening her eyes. They're not harmed, but they can't attack now. Jack stared at her in amazement. How did you do that? Shadow showed me, she said simply. Emma moved closer to the floating symbols, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. Could I learn to do that too? Maria smiled and held out her hand. Shadow wants to connect with all of you. It needs humans who understand different things. Science, strategy, engineering, communication. Together we can prepare for what's coming. Jack hesitated, then looked at the distant silver points of the Purge scout ships. If we don't do this, he asked, what happens when they arrive? The same thing that happened to the Arbiters, Tom said solemnly. Extinction. Jack took a deep breath and stepped forward. Show us how to connect. Maria nodded and gestured to the center of the room. The floor opened, revealing a pool of what looked like liquid darkness. This is how Shadow communicates most directly, she explained. It won't hurt you. It just shares. Jack looked at Emma, who nodded, her eyes full of determination and curiosity. Even Ben seemed to have overcome his suspicion, staring at the pool with fascination. One by one, they stepped forward and placed their hands into the dark liquid. Jack went first, feeling a strange, cool sensation that quickly spread up his arm and into his mind. And then, suddenly, he wasn't alone in his thoughts anymore. He could feel the others, Emma, Tom, Maria, and Ben, but also something much larger, much older. Something ancient and powerful, but also curious and somehow hopeful. Shadow was welcoming them home. And as the connection grew stronger, Jack saw what the ship had seen: the vast history of the Arbiters, their wonders, and their fall. He saw the purge sweeping through galaxy after galaxy, extinguishing civilizations like candle flames. And he saw what Shadow believed: that humans, with their unpredictability and courage, might succeed where the Arbiters had failed. But only if they worked together. Earth and Mars, humans and Shadow. Only together could they face what was coming. The bond was formed. The real work was just beginning. 1 month after forming the bond with Shadow, Jack stood before the leaders of Earth and Mars in the great meeting hall of the Global Space Council. The room was packed with military officials, scientists, and government representatives from both planets. On a large screen behind Jack, images of the black ship floated in Earth's orbit. "The threat is real," Jack said, his voice echoing in the quiet room. "The purge is coming. Shadow has confirmed it." Admiral Ross leaned forward in her seat. "Commander Harris, you're asking us to believe that a machine intelligence from another galaxy is coming to destroy us based on what this ship has told you?" "I'm asking you to believe what we've seen with our own eyes," Jack replied. He nodded to Emma, who pressed a button on her tablet. The screen changed to show a star map. A red dot pulsed at the edge. "This is the Tau Ceti system," Emma explained. "It's only 12 light years away. Shadow detected unusual energy readings there 3 weeks ago. We sent a probe with the new drive technology Shadow helped us develop." The image zoomed in, showing a planet that looked similar to Earth, but with strange dark patches covering much of its surface. "This was a living world," Emma continued. "Advanced civilization, perhaps 1,000 years ahead of us technologically. Now it's gone. Completely wiped out in just a few days." Murmurs spread through the room as officials leaned toward each other, whispering urgently. "How do we know this isn't a trick?" asked General Peters. "How do we know this ship isn't the real threat?" "Because I've seen it," Jack said firmly. "We all have. Myself, Dr. Wilson, Lieutenant Reed, Engineer Diaz, and Captain Lewis. Through our bond with Shadow, we've seen what the purge does. And we've seen that Shadow was built to help us fight it." Director Lewis from Mars stepped forward. "My people have confirmed Captain Lewis's reports. The technology Shadow has already shared with us has advanced our science by centuries. The new engines alone are beyond anything we could have developed on our own." "But can we trust it?" Admiral Ross asked. "This bond you describe sounds like mind control." Maria Diaz, who had been sitting quietly at the side of the room, stood up. "It's not mind control. It's a partnership. Shadow needs us as much as we need it. The Arbiters built these ships to find species that could succeed where they failed. And why does this ship think humans can win where an advanced alien civilization lost?" General Peters asked skeptically. "Because we're unpredictable," Tom answered from his seat next to Maria. "The Arbiters were logical, methodical. The purge could calculate their every move. But humans," he smiled slightly, "we're chaos to a machine mind. We make choices based on emotions, intuition, things the purge can't easily predict." Before anyone could respond, a young officer burst into the room. "Admiral, we're receiving a priority signal from the outer system monitoring stations. Multiple objects have just appeared near Jupiter's orbit. They're moving toward Earth." The room erupted in panic. Jack exchanged glances with Emma. "It's too soon," she whispered. "Shadow said we had months." Admiral Ross stood up. "How many objects?" "At least 50, ma'am," the officer replied. "Moving, faster than anything in our record. It's a scout force," Jack said grimly. "The main fleet will be behind them." Admiral Ross turned to him. "Commander Harris, if what you've been telling us is true, what do you suggest we do?" Jack stood tall. "We need to move Shadow into a defensive position, and we need to get as many people connected to it as possible. Your best pilots, engineers, and tacticians. The ship can share knowledge directly. Train them in days instead of years." Director Lewis nodded in agreement. "Mars will send our best people as well." "What about our own defenses?" General Peters asked. "Earth's fleet? Mars's weapons platforms?" "They won't be enough," Jack said honestly. But Shadow has been helping us adapt some of its technology to our ships. It's not perfect, but it's better than what we have now. Admiral Ross was quiet for a moment, then nodded decisively. Do it. You have full authority, Commander. Whatever you need. 3 days later, Jack stood on Shadow's bridge with Emma, Tom, Maria, and Ben. Around them, 20 of Earth and Mars's best military personnel were connecting with Shadow's systems, their faces showing awe as the ancient knowledge flowed into their minds. The scout ships will reach Earth orbit in 6 hours, Tom reported, his eyes closed as he communicated directly with Shadow's sensors. 53 vessels, all heavily armed. What about the main purge fleet? Jack asked. Still at the edge. Of the solar system, Maria replied. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands, they're waiting to see how we respond to the scouts. Emma looked up from the console where she was studying Shadow's weapons systems. We're not ready, Jack. We've adapted. Some of our ships with Shadow's technology, but there's still no match for the purge. We don't need to defeat them yet, Jack said. We just need to show them we're not easy prey. If they think we'll be too costly to eradicate, they might hesitate, give us more time. Ben, who had been quiet, spoke up. Shadow has a suggestion. Everyone turned to him. Since forming the bond, Ben had developed the strongest connection to Shadow's tactical systems. Instead of waiting for them to reach Earth, Ben continued, we take Shadow to meet them, show them what we've got. That's extremely risky, Emma objected. Shadow is our greatest asset. But it's also our strongest weapon, Tom countered. And the purge doesn't know we can use it effectively. They'll be expecting primitive defenses. Jack thought for a moment, feeling Shadow's presence in his mind, a calm, steady force of ancient wisdom. What does Shadow think our chances are? He asked. Maria closed her eyes briefly. Shadow believes we can destroy or disable most of the scout ships, but there will be a cost. What cost? Jack asked. Energy, Ben explained. Using the weapon systems at full power will drain Shadow's reserves. It will take days to recharge, during which we'll be vulnerable. Jack nodded slowly. So we hit them hard, then retreat to reload. It's a gamble, but it might make the purge reconsider a full attack. And it gives us more time to prepare Earth's defenses, Emma added. Then we do it, Jack decided. Tell Admiral Ross to keep Earth's fleet in reserve. We'll take the fight to the purge. 6 hours later, Shadow accelerated toward the approaching scout fleet of the purge. From the bridge, Jack could see the silver ships through Shadow's enhanced viewing systems. They were sleek and deadly looking, with no obvious weapons but a strange shimmer around their hulls. They're hailing us, Tom reported with surprise. Audio only. Let's hear it, Jack ordered. A cold, mechanical voice filled the bridge. Primitive vessels detected. Surrender for processing or be eliminated. They think we're just a normal spaceship, Maria whispered. They don't recognize Shadow. Jack smiled grimly. Let's keep it that way. No response. They're moving to surround us, Ben reported. Weapons charging. Jack felt Shadow's systems come fully online, power surging through the ancient vessel. Wait until they're committed to the attack, he ordered. Then hit them with everything we've got. The silver ships moved with perfect coordination, forming a sphere around Shadow. Energy readings spiked as their weapons prepared to fire. Now, Jack commanded. Shadow's response was devastating. Beams of pure energy lashed out in all directions, cutting through the silver ships like they were made of paper. At the same time, a wave of force expanded outward, disrupting the purge vessel's systems. Direct hits on 38 ships, Ben reported excitedly. 15 more disabled. But the purge adapted quickly. The remaining ships shifted formation, their hulls changing to absorb the energy of Shadow's weapons. They're learning, Emma warned, adjusting to our attack patterns. A series of impacts rocked Shadow as the purge ships returned fire. The black hull absorbed most of the energy, but the ship shuddered under the assault. Power reserves dropping, Maria reported. We can't maintain this level of defense for long. Jack made a quick decision. Change tactics, full power to forward weapons. We're going to punch through their formation and make a run for it. Shadow responded instantly, focusing. its remaining energy into a massive forward blast that cleared a path through the purge vessels. The black ship surged forward faster than anything humans had built, leaving the damaged purge scouts behind. "We did it," Tom exclaimed. 43 ships destroyed, 10 disabled. But Jack didn't share his enthusiasm. On the tactical display, he could see the main purge fleet accelerating toward Earth. "They're coming," he said quietly. "All of them. We hurt them, but it wasn't enough to scare them off." Emma looked at him, her face pale. "How long do we have?" "At their current speed," Ben calculated. 3 days, maybe 4. "And how long until Shadow's power is fully restored?" Jack asked. Maria closed her eyes, communing with the ship's core systems. 6 days at minimum. The bridge fell silent as everyone understood what that meant. When the purge arrived in full force, their greatest weapon would still be recharging. "We need to warn Earth," Jack said finally, "and we need to find another way to fight." As Shadow raced back toward Earth, Jack felt a tingle in his mind. Shadow was trying to tell him something. He closed his eyes, letting the ship's consciousness merge more deeply with his own. And there, in the shared mental space, he saw the location of another black ship, another piece of the Arbiter's legacy hidden in a nearby star system. They weren't alone after all. There was hope, if they could reach it in time. Earth looked small from space as hundreds of ships gathered around it. Every vessel that could fly had been called to defend humanity's home. The combined fleets of Earth and Mars formed a protective ring, their hulls now covered with patches of the same black material as Shadow, thanks to the technology the ancient ship had shared. In the command center beneath Earth's surface, Admiral Ross watched the tactical displays with grim determination. 3 hours until the Purge's main fleet arrives, she announced to the room full of military leaders. "Where is Shadow? Where is Commander Harris?" "Still no contact, Admiral," a communications officer reported. "They've been gone for 2 days. After discovering the existence of another black ship, Jack had made the difficult decision to take Shadow on a desperate mission to find it. He knew the Purge would arrive before they returned, but it was their only chance. If they could bring back a second Arbiter vessel, they might have enough firepower to defeat the enemy. Admiral Ross looked at General Peters. "Are our defenses ready?" "As ready as they can be," he replied. "Dr. Wilson's team has equipped our ships with the new shields and weapons, but without Shadow—" He didn't finish the sentence. Everyone knew what he meant. Without Shadow, they were probably doomed. In the cold darkness of a distant star system, Shadow moved swiftly toward a small moon orbiting a gas giant. According to the coordinates in Shadow's memory, the second black ship was hidden there, buried beneath the moon's surface for thousands of years. On Shadow's bridge, Jack, Tom, Maria, and Ben watched anxiously as they approached. "Are we sure it's still there?" Jack asked. Maria, her mind deeply connected with Shadow's sensors, nodded. "I can feel it. It's sleeping, like Shadow was before we found it." "Will it respond to us?" Ben wondered. "Shadow believes it will," Tom said. "These ships were built to work together, to find worthy species and help them fight the Purge." Shadow slowed as it reached the moon, hovering above the barren, cratered surface. A beam of energy shot from the ship into the ground below, cutting through rock and ice. "What's happening?" Jack asked. "Shadow is calling to its sister ship," Maria explained, her eyes closed in concentration. "Waking it up." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground began to shake. Cracks appeared across the moon's surface as something massive stirred beneath. Slowly, majestically, another black ship rose from the depths of the moon, dust and rocks falling from its hull as it ascended, to meet them. It was slightly smaller than Shadow, but otherwise identical. The same light-absorbing material, the same strange angles and curves. "It's responding," Maria whispered in awe. "It recognizes Shadow." The two ships moved close to each other, almost touching. Energy flowed between them, a silent conversation that the humans could feel through their bond with Shadow. "What are they saying?" Jack asked. They're sharing information, Tom said. Shadow is telling it everything that's happened. About us, about Earth, about the purge coming. And what is it saying back? Ben wondered. Maria's face lit up with a smile. It's agreeing to help, and there's more. It knows where other ships are hidden. There are more of them out there, Jack. We're not alone. Jack nodded, feeling hope rise in his chest. But first we need to save Earth. How fast can this new ship get ready to fight? It's already ready, Tom said. Its power systems are fully charged after all this time dormant. Then let's go home, Jack ordered, and hope we're not too late. Admiral Ross watched in horror as the purge fleet appeared at the edge of Earth's space, hundreds of silver ships moving in perfect formation, like a swarm of deadly insects. All ships, battle positions, she ordered. Remember your training. Use the new weapons only when you have a clear shot. Make every blast count. The human fleet moved to intercept, their engines glowing bright against the darkness. They were outnumbered 5-1, but they had no choice. Earth's future depended on them. The first wave of purge ships accelerated forward, their hulls shimmering with deadly energy. The human fleet opened fire, beams of arbiter technology slicing through space. Some of the silver ships exploded. Others were damaged. But for every one that fell, 5 more took its place. And the purge was learning, adapting their shields to resist the human weapons. We can't hold them, General Peters said, watching as human ships began to fall to the purge's counterattack. They're too many. Admiral Ross refused to give up. Keep fighting. Every minute we buy is another minute for the people on Earth. The battle raged across Earth's orbit. Human pilots fought bravely, using every trick and maneuver they knew. The Mars ships, smaller but faster, darted between the larger purge vessels, causing whatever damage they could. But it wasn't enough. The silver ships kept coming, pushing the human fleet back toward Earth. Soon they would break through, and then nothing would stop them from destroying everything below. Admiral, a communications officer called out suddenly. We're picking up something on long-range sensors. 2 massive objects approaching at incredible speed. The tactical display shifted to show 2 dark spots moving toward Earth faster than anything they had ever tracked. Is it more of them? Admiral Ross asked, fearing the worst. The officer's face broke into a smile. No, ma'am. It's Shadow, and another ship just like it. A cheer rose through the command center. On the main screen they watched as the 2 black ships tore through space, heading straight for the purge fleet. This is Commander Harris to Earth Command. Jack's voice came through clearly. Sorry we're late. We brought a friend. Shadow and its sister ship, which the crew had named Echo, hit the purge fleet like twin hurricanes. Their weapons, fully charged and at maximum power, cut through the silver ships with ease. Where human weapons had struggled, the arbiter technology was devastating. On Shadow's bridge, Jack directed the attack, his mind linked with the ship's systems. Around him, the crew worked in perfect harmony, their bond with Shadow allowing them to react faster than any normal human could. The purge is regrouping, Ben reported. Their command ship is at the center of the formation. Jack nodded. That's our target. If we can take out their command, the rest might retreat. But we can't reach it, Tom said. There are too many ships in the way. Maria, her connection with Shadow deeper than any of them, suddenly spoke up. Shadow has an idea, but it's risky. Tell me, Jack said. The space-time distortion system, she explained. Both ships have it. Together they can create a pocket of warped space large enough to trap the command ship and a good portion of the purge fleet. But, Jack prompted, knowing there had to be a catch. But one of our ships has to be inside the distortion to activate it, Maria finished quietly. Whoever does it might not come back. The bridge fell silent as everyone understood what that meant. Someone would have to sacrifice themselves to save Earth. I'll do it, Jack said finally. Shadow and I will go in. Echo can trigger the distortion. From outside? No. Maria shook her head. It doesn't have to be you. I have the strongest connection with Shadow. It should be me. Before Jack could argue, Tom spoke up. There might be another way. If we can get close enough, we might be able to trigger it remotely. Through their bond with Shadow, they all felt the ship's confirmation. It was possible, but it would strain Shadow's systems to the breaking point. It's worth trying, Jack decided. Tell Echo to prepare. We're going to punch a hole straight to their command ship. The two black ships moved in perfect coordination, their weapons clearing a path through the Purge fleet. Human and Mars ships rallied behind them, protecting their flanks as they drove toward the center. The Purge realized the danger too late. As they tried to move their command ship away, Shadow and Echo closed in, trapping it between them. Now, Jack ordered. Both black ships activated their space-time distortion systems simultaneously. Energy unlike anything humans had ever seen erupted between them, creating a sphere of warped reality that engulfed the command ship and dozens of Purge vessels around it. Shadow shuddered violently as its systems strained to maintain the distortion. Alarms blared across the bridge. "Power failing," Ben shouted. "We can't hold it." "We have to," Jack insisted. "Just a few more seconds." The distortion grew, swallowing more of the Purge fleet. Inside the sphere, the silver ships seemed to freeze, caught in a moment of time that stretched forever. Then with a final surge of power, the distortion collapsed in on itself. Where hundreds of Purge ships had been, there was now nothing but empty space. "We did it," Emma whispered in disbelief. "They're gone." Around them, the remaining Purge ships seemed suddenly disorganized, their perfect formation breaking apart. Without their command vessel, they had lost their coordination. "They're retreating," Tom reported as the silver ships began to turn away from Earth. The human fleet, seeing their chance, pressed the attack. More Purge ships fell, unable to mount an effective defense without their central control. Soon the last of the silver ships disappeared into deep space, fleeing back the way they had come. On Shadow's bridge, Jack collapsed into his chair, exhausted but triumphant. "Is it over?" Maria shook her head. "Not over. Just beginning. The Purge will be back with more ships, but we've won our first battle. And next time, we'll be ready," Jack said firmly. "Echo knows where the other black ships are hidden. We can find them, wake them," Emma smiled. "Build a fleet of our own." "Yes," Jack agreed, looking out at the stars beyond Earth. Somewhere out there, other black ships were waiting. And beyond them, perhaps other civilizations fighting the same enemy. The Arbiters chose us for a reason. They believed we could do what they couldn't. "Defeat the Purge once and for all," Tom said. Jack nodded, feeling Shadow's agreement in his mind. "And we will. Together." As Shadow and Echo returned to Earth orbit, cheers erupted from every ship in the human fleet. On the planet below, people looked up at the night sky, seeing the two dark shapes against the stars. Not invaders, but protectors. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe. The journey ahead would be difficult, dangerous, but they would not face it alone.
The old cargo ship floated in space like a wounded whale. Its hull, marked with dents and patches, told stories of decades spent hauling goods across the stars. Now, with weapons hastily bolted to its sides, it looked more like a child's attempt to turn a toy truck into a tank. This was the HMS Persistence, and it was humanity's last hope in this sector. Captain James Walker stood on the bridge, his weathered hands gripping the railing as he looked at the main screen. He wasn't supposed to be here. None of them were. But with the Empire pushing deeper into human space each day, the military had run out of proper warships. "Status report," he called out, his voice steady despite the doubt gnawing at his gut. "Main reactor is running at 85% capacity, sir," replied Engineer Mike Thompson from his station. The old man's fingers danced across his console, coaxing power from systems that should have been retired years ago. "She's not happy, but she's holding." Walker nodded. The ship's reactor was ancient technology, the kind that modern ships wouldn't be caught dead using. But they had no choice. Earth Command had ordered every space-worthy vessel to be converted for combat duty, regardless of its original purpose. "Weapons check," Walker ordered, turning to his makeshift tactical officer. Lisa Brown, who until 3 weeks ago had been coordinating cargo loading sequences, Pulled up the weapons display. Point defense systems are online, though the targeting computers are still glitchy. Main guns. She paused, frowning. 3 out of 4 responding. The fourth one keeps trying to load cargo containers instead of shells. A few crew members chuckled. It wasn't really funny, but laughter helped keep the fear at bay. They all knew what was coming. Empire ships had been spotted in nearby systems, their advanced technology making quick work of human defenses. "Keep working on it," Walker said. "We need every gun we can get." The bridge crew returned to their tasks, each person trying to master systems they barely understood. The Persistence had been converted in just 2 weeks, with weapons and military hardware grafted onto civilian systems. Half the ship still thought it was a cargo hauler. Walker walked to the engineering station, where Thompson was muttering to himself as he adjusted power readings. "Mike, how's that reactor holding up really?" The engineer looked up, his gray eyes serious. "Honestly, sir, it's weird. These old fusion bottles were built tough, but this one's giving off readings I've never seen before. The radiation signature keeps shifting." "Is it dangerous?" Walker asked, thinking of his crew of 35 souls aboard this floating death trap. Thompson shook his head. "Not dangerous, just strange. It's like..." He paused, searching for words. "It's like the reactor's talking to itself, changing its output patterns randomly. Modern reactors are more efficient, but they're also more rigid in their operation. This old girl, she's got quirks." Before Walker could respond, the tactical station lit up with warnings. Lysa's voice cut through the bridge chatter. "Multiple contacts. Empire signatures detected at the edge of our range." Walker rushed to his command chair. "Show me." The main screen flickered to life, displaying tactical data. 5 Empire warships, their sleek hulls gleaming with advanced technology, were moving into the system. Each one of them could outgun the Persistence 10 times over. "Orders from command, sir," the communications officer called out. "We are to delay the enemy advance by any means necessary until reinforcements arrive." The bridge fell silent. They all knew what that meant. They were being sacrificed to buy time. Walker took a deep breath. "Alert all hands. Battle stations." As klaxons blared throughout the ship, Walker studied the tactical display. The Empire ships were moving in a standard attack formation, probably not even considering the old cargo ship a threat. That might be their only advantage. "Sir," Thompson's excited voice cut through the tension. "The reactor. I think I found something." "Make it quick, Mike." "The radiation signature, the way it keeps changing. I think we can use it. The Empire's targeting systems are designed to track modern reactor emissions. Ours is so old and weird, it might confuse them." Walker leaned forward. "Can you control these changes?" "Maybe." Thompson's fingers flew across his console. "If I route power through some of the old cargo handling systems, I can make us look like different types of ships, or even make us disappear completely from their scans." It wasn't much, but it was something. "Do it," Walker ordered. "Lisa, what's the status of those cargo handling systems?" "Still trying to load shells, sir, but..." She paused, her eyes widening. "Wait, if we're not going to use them for weapons, maybe we can use them for something else." The magnetic grapples were designed to move containers in zero. They could maybe catch incoming missiles. Walker felt a spark of hope. It was crazy, but they were already in an impossible situation. Make it happen. "Everyone, listen up. We're not a warship, and we never will be. So let's stop trying to be one. We're a cargo hauler, and we're going to fight like one." The next hour was a flurry of activity as the crew repurposed systems never meant for combat. Cargo drones were programmed to act as decoys. Loading bay force fields were modified to provide extra shielding. Every trick and hack they could think of was thrown into the mix. The Empire ships drew closer, their first warning shots lighting up space around the Persistence. Walker watched his crew work, pride mixing with fear in his chest. They were about to find out if their improvised solutions would work, or if they'd all die in the cold vacuum of space. Enemy ships entering optimal firing range, Lisa reported, her voice steady. Walker straightened in his chair. Thompson, start your reactor tricks. Lisa, power up those grapples. Everyone else, remember your training and trust your shipmates. The Empire thinks we're just a broken-down cargo hauler. He allowed himself a small smile. Let's show them how dangerous a cargo hauler can be. As the first Empire missiles streaked toward them, the Persistence's reactor began its strange dance, its shifting signature making the ship flicker like a ghost on enemy scanners. The massive cargo grapples, never designed for combat, reached out into space like giant hands, ready to catch death itself. The battle for humanity's survival was about to begin, and it would start with a ship that had no right to win. But as Walker looked at his determined crew, he realized that sometimes the best weapons weren't the shiniest or newest. Sometimes they were the ones you made yourself, from whatever you had at hand. Thompson's voice rose above the battle station's alert. Sir, you need to see these readings. The reactor, it's doing something I've never seen before. It's adapting to what we need. Walker looked at the readings, not fully understanding them, but recognizing that they might have stumbled onto something important. Something that might just give humanity a fighting chance against the Empire's superior technology. Record everything, he ordered. Win or lose, other ships need to know what we discover here. He turned to face the main screen, where the Empire ships loomed ever larger. Now let's show them what this old hauler can do. The first Empire missile streaked through space, its targeting systems confused by the Persistence's shifting reactor signature. Thompson's trick was working, but they needed more than just good defense to survive this fight. Enemy missile incoming, Lisa called out, her hands hovering over the cargo grapple controls. Attempting intercept with grapple system. The massive electromagnetic grapple, designed to handle cargo containers weighing thousands of tons, reached out into space. As the missile approached, Lisa adjusted the grapple's field strength, trying to find the right setting to catch something moving at combat speeds. The grapple caught the missile. Instead of exploding, the weapon hung suspended in the electromagnetic field, its engines still burning. Got it, Lisa shouted, excitement breaking through her professional demeanor. The grapple's holding. Walker leaned forward in his command chair. Can you turn it around? A grin spread across Lisa's face as she understood his intention. Her fingers danced across the controls, and the grapple swung around, pointing the captured missile back at the Empire ships. With a few quick adjustments, she released the electromagnetic field. The missile shot back toward its source, its engines still at full power. The Empire ship, not expecting its own weapon to be returned, took a direct hit to its forward shields. Hit confirmed, Lisa reported. Enemy shields at 80%. The bridge crew cheered, but Walker kept his focus. Thompson, how's the reactor holding up? Better than expected, sir, the engineer replied. Each time we use the grapples, the reactor adjusts its output to match. It's like it's learning what we need. And I found something else in the cargo holds. What is it? The maintenance drones. We got about 50 of them, designed for hull repairs and cargo handling. With some quick reprogramming, we could use them as fighters. Walker considered this. The drones were tough, built to work in space, and their repair tools could probably do damage if used creatively. Do it. How long? Give me 10 minutes, Thompson said, already typing commands into his console. Another volley of Empire missiles approached. This time, Lisa was ready. The cargo grapples moved with more confidence, catching 2 missiles and sending them back toward different targets. The Empire ships scattered, breaking their formation. They're splitting up, Lisa reported, trying to surround us. Walker nodded. It was standard Empire tactics, but it might work in their favor. Thompson, those drones ready. First wave launching now, sir. From the Persistence's cargo holds, maintenance drones emerged like angry hornets. Their usual repair tools had been repurposed. Welding torches became weapons. Magnetic clamps became grappling devices. They swarmed toward the nearest Empire ship, their small size making them hard to target. The Empire ship's point defense systems fired, but they were calibrated for missiles and fighters, not the erratic movements of maintenance drones. Several drones reached the ship's hull, their welding tools cutting into sensor arrays and weapons mounts. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, "I'm picking up a scout ship approaching from the system's edge. Empire design, probably here to observe." Walker saw an opportunity. "Thompson, can you mask our signature completely? Make us disappear?" "For a few minutes, yes. The reactor's radiation pattern can match background space if I tune it just right." "Do it. Lisa, pull back the drones. Let's show them our next trick." The maintenance drones retreated to the cargo holds as Thompson adjusted the reactor output. On enemy scanners, the persistence seemed to fade away, becoming just another piece of space debris. The Empire scout ship moved closer, probably trying to figure out where their target had gone. When it was less than 10,000 kilometers away, Walker gave the order. "Now." The Persistence's reactor flared to life, its signature suddenly visible again. Before the scout ship could react, Lisa launched a full spread of drones while simultaneously using the cargo grapples to seize 2 more incoming missiles. The scout ship, caught completely by surprise, took heavy damage from both the redirected missiles and the swarm of drones. Its engines flickered and died as the drones cut power conduits and damaged vital systems. "Scout ship disabled," Lisa reported. "Other Empire vessels are pulling back, reforming their line." Walker allowed himself a small smile. They'd just shown the Empire something they'd never seen before. A cargo ship that could fight back. But he knew this was just the beginning. "Thompson, what else can we learn from that reactor? And how many more drones can we modify?" The engineer was already deep in his calculations. "The reactor's behavior is fascinating, sir. It's like it has patterns we never noticed during normal cargo operations. And as for the drones, we've barely scratched the surface. Their repair protocols can be adapted for all sorts of combat maneuvers." "Sir," Lisa called out, "I'm detecting changes in the Empire ship's formation. They're falling back." The tactical display showed the Empire vessels moving away, maintaining a safe distance while probably trying to figure out what they were dealing with. Their standard tactics had failed against this strange opponent that refused to fight like a proper warship. Walker stood up, walking to the center of the bridge. "They'll be back, and they'll be ready for some of our tricks. We need more ideas." The bridge crew, energized by their success, began throwing out suggestions. The cargo holds could be converted into makeshift fighter bays for the drones. The old radiation shielding could be reconfigured to absorb enemy weapon fire. Every obsolete system on the ship suddenly held new potential. "Message from command. Sir," the communications officer reported. "They're asking for a full report on our engagement. They're especially interested in the reactor modifications and drone reprogramming." Walker nodded. What they'd discovered here could help other converted cargo ships fight back against the Empire. Every civilian vessel in the fleet could become a potential threat, using their outdated systems in ways the enemy would never expect. "Send them everything," he ordered. "But tell them we're not done yet. We've only just started figuring out what this old girl can do." As the crew worked to improve their improvised weapons and tactics, the Empire ships remained at the edge of their sensor range, a reminder that the real battle was still to come. But now, aboard the Persistence, there was something new in the air, something that felt like hope. Thompson's voice cut through the activity. "Captain, you need to see these new reactor readings. If I'm right about this pattern, we might be able to do something even more unexpected." Walker smiled. The ship that shouldn't win was about to become even more dangerous. The Empire fleet returned 3 hours later, just as Thompson finished implementing his latest modifications to the reactor. This time, they'd brought 7 ships instead of 5. The disabled scout ship still drifted in space, a testament to the Persistence's unexpected effectiveness. They're moving in a widespread formation, Lisa reported from her tactical station. Looks like they're trying to prevent us from focusing on a single target. Walker studied the tactical display. The Empire ships had learned from their first encounter, but they still didn't understand what they were really facing. Thompson, is the new reactor configuration ready? Yes, sir, the engineer replied, his voice tight with excitement. We can now create multiple false signatures. They'll think they're facing 3 ships instead of 1. The discovery had come from studying the reactor's strange behavior. Its shifting radiation patterns could be controlled more precisely than they'd first thought, allowing them to project phantom ships that would appear real to Empire sensors. All hands, battle stations, Walker ordered. Lisa, deploy the drone swarms in 3 groups. Let's make our ghost ships look real. The Persistence's cargo holds open, releasing over 100 modified maintenance drones. Thompson had worked through his rest period, reprogramming more of them for combat duties. They split into 3 groups, matching the phantom signatures the reactor was projecting. Empire ships are launching missiles, Lisa called out. Multiple targets. They're trying to saturate our defenses. Walker smiled. Show them our new trick. Catch what you can and let the rest chase our ghosts. The cargo grapples reached out, now operating with practiced precision. They caught the nearest missiles while others streaked past, following the false signatures. When the missiles reached their targets, they found nothing but empty space and confused sensor readings. Enemy ships adjusting formation, Lisa reported. They're trying to close in. Perfect. Thompson, initiate reactor pulse sequence. The engineer's fingers danced across his console. The Persistence's reactor output suddenly spiked, creating a wave of radiation that washed over the Empire ship's sensitive sensors. For a crucial few seconds, their targeting systems were completely blind. Drone swarms, attack pattern Delta, Walker commanded. The maintenance drones, their tools now deadly weapons, swarmed toward the nearest Empire ship. Without accurate sensor data, the ship's point defense systems fired wildly, missing most of the small targets. The drones reached the hull, cutting through weapon mounts and communication arrays with their repurposed repair tools. First target losing power, Lisa announced. Their main reactor is shutting down. But the Empire ships weren't done. The remaining vessels adjusted their tactics, forming a tight defensive circle. Their combined point defense fire created a wall of energy that would destroy anything that approached. They're adapting, Walker noted. Thompson, remember that idea you had about the cargo bay force fields? The engineer grinned. Ready when you are, sir. Though I still say it's crazy. Crazy is all we've got. Do it. Thompson activated his modified controls. The cargo bay force fields, designed to maintain atmosphere while loading and unloading containers, suddenly extended outward from the ship. They weren't powerful enough to stop weapons fire, but they didn't need to be. All drones, fall back behind the fields, Walker ordered. The swarm retreated, taking shelter behind the flickering force fields. Empire weapons fire splashed against them, partially deflected and scattered. The fields wouldn't last long under this assault, but that wasn't the point. Fields are charged with reactor energy, Thompson reported. Ready to release. Walker leaned forward. Now. The force fields collapsed inward, but as they did, they released all the energy they'd absorbed from the Empire weapons. The resulting wave of power washed over the enemy formation, overloading shields and scrambling sensors. Multiple targets disabled. Lisa called out, her voice rising with excitement. 3. No, 4 ships reporting major system failures. The remaining Empire vessels, realizing they faced something they didn't understand, began to retreat. Their formation broke apart as each captain decided survival was more important than victory. Should we pursue? Lisa asked. Walker shook his head. Let them go. They'll tell others what happened here. Besides, we need to check on our crew. The battle had taken its toll on the Persistence. Several systems were running hot, and the reactor needed time to cool down. But they'd achieved something remarkable. A converted cargo ship had just defeated 7 Empire warships. Message from command. The communications officer reported. They're asking how we did it. Multiple ships are requesting our combat data. Send them everything, Walker ordered. Every ship like ours needs to know these tricks. Thompson looked up from his engineering station. Sir, I've been analyzing the reactor's behavior during the battle. There's something else it can do, something bigger. But I'll need time to work it out. Walker nodded. The Empire would return, probably with an even larger fleet. But now they had time to prepare, to refine their techniques, to make their impossible ship even more effective. Sir, Lisa called out, her voice softer now. The crew, they're calling us the Ghost Ship. The Empire ships were sending messages about a phantom that couldn't be killed. The nickname was fitting. They'd become something the Empire had never seen before. A cargo ship that fought like a ghost, appearing and disappearing, turning the enemy's strength against them. Damage report, Walker requested, already thinking about repairs. Hull integrity at 82%, Thompson replied. Main systems functioning within acceptable parameters. The reactor's actually running better than before, if you can believe it. It's like it's getting used to combat operations. Walker stood up, looking at his crew. Their faces showed exhaustion, but also pride. They'd taken a ship that should have been easy prey and turned it into something deadly. Get some rest, he ordered. All of you. We've won this battle, but the war isn't over. The Empire will be back, and next time they'll be trying to figure out how to fight a ghost. As the crew began their rest rotation, Walker stayed on the bridge, watching the tactical display where the retreating Empire ships were disappearing into the darkness of space. They'd discovered something important today. Sometimes the best weapon wasn't the newest or most advanced. Sometimes it was the one nobody expected, used in ways nobody had imagined. The Persistence floated in space, its battle-scarred hull now wearing its wounds like badges of honor. It was no longer just a converted cargo ship. It was becoming a legend, a ghost that haunted the Empire's nightmares. And it was just getting started. News of the Persistence's victory spread through the human fleet like wildfire. Within days, cargo ships across human space began requesting information about their modifications. Walker found himself spending hours sending detailed reports to other captains, explaining how they'd turned their weaknesses into strengths. Another request for our drone programming, Lisa said, checking her messages. This time it's from the Star Merchant, a bulk carrier in the Rigel sector. Walker nodded. Send them everything. And make sure they understand about the reactor modifications. Those are key to making it all work. The bridge of the Persistence had become a command center of sorts. Screens displayed status reports from other converted cargo ships trying to replicate their success. Some had already achieved promising results. Thompson burst onto the bridge, his eyes bright with excitement. Captain, you need to see this. The reactor's doing something new. Walker followed his engineer to the main engineering display. The screen showed energy patterns he'd never seen before, swirling in complex formations. Remember how the reactor adapted to combat? Thompson explained. Well, it's still adapting. I think it's developing new patterns on its own. If we can understand them, we might be able to do even more. Before Walker could respond, the tactical alert sounded. Lisa's hands flew across her console. Multiple Empire signatures detected. Largest fleet we've seen yet. 15 warships, including 2 heavy cruisers. They're not taking any chances this time, Walker muttered. Alert the other converted ships in range. It's time to see if our lessons paid off. 3 other cargo ships responded to their call. The Star Trader, the Bulk Pioneer, and the Heavy Lifter had all been modified following the Persistence's example. They weren't as experienced, but they were ready to fight. Form up on our position, Walker ordered. Remember the drills we practiced. Thompson, start the reactor masking sequence. The 4 converted cargo ships moved into formation, their ancient reactors synchronizing their output patterns. On Empire sensors, they would appear as a constantly shifting mix of phantom signatures, making it impossible to tell which ships were real and which were ghosts. Empire fleet is approaching in attack formation, Lisa reported. They're moving more cautiously this time. They've learned, Walker said. But so have we. All ships deploy drone swarms. From the cargo holds of all 4 ships, hundreds of modified maintenance drones poured into space. They moved in coordinated patterns they'd practiced over the past weeks, forming complex defensive screens and attack formations. The Empire fleet opened fire, their advanced weapons lighting up space. But the cargo ships were ready. Their cargo grapples caught incoming missiles while their force fields deflected energy weapons. The drones darted through the gaps in the enemy's fire, targeting sensitive systems with surgical precision. Star Trader reports successful hits on the lead cruiser, Lisa called out. Their new magnetic pulse generator is working. Enemy shields are fluctuating. The magnetic pulse generator had been Thompson's latest innovation, adapting cargo bay magnetic systems to disrupt shield harmonics. The Star Trader had been the first to successfully implement it. Heavy lifter is taking heavy fire, Lisa reported. Their reactor masking is failing. Move us in to cover them, Walker ordered. Thompson, can you extend our force fields? Better than that, the engineer replied. Watch this. Thompson activated his modified controls, and the Persistence's reactor output suddenly shifted. The energy pattern he'd discovered earlier manifested as a visible distortion in space, spreading out to envelop the heavy lifter. What did you do? Walker asked, watching as Empire weapons fire seemed to bend around the protected ship. The reactors learned to generate a kind of displacement field, Thompson explained. It's bending space slightly, not enough for fancy tricks, but enough to make their targeting solutions useless. The Empire fleet's formation began to break apart as their carefully planned attack fell into chaos. Their sensors couldn't get clear readings, their weapons couldn't find solid targets, and their shields were being stripped away by weapons that shouldn't have existed. Bulk Pioneer is attempting that cargo bay trick we developed, Lisa reported. They're using their loading cranes too. They're throwing cargo containers at the enemy ships. Walker watched as massive shipping containers, accelerated by powerful loading mechanisms, smashed into Empire vessels. The containers weren't heavily armored, but at those speeds, they didn't need to be. Empire ships scattered, their formation completely broken. Multiple enemy ships powering down, Lisa announced. They're retreating. All of them. The bridge crew cheered as the mighty Empire fleet turned and fled, leaving behind their damaged vessels. What had started as one ship's desperate innovation had become a revolution in space warfare. Message from command. The communications officer called out. They're ordering all cargo ships in the fleet to begin immediate conversion using our specifications. We're to begin training crews as soon as possible. Walker smiled. The Empire had thought they were facing a single lucky ship, but now they would have to deal with an entire fleet of vessels that refused to fight by the normal rules. Sir, Thompson said, his voice serious. The reactor patterns, they're still evolving, and I'm getting similar reports from other ships. It's like each reactor is learning from the others, developing new tricks we never imagined. Keep studying them, Walker ordered. Every new discovery is another advantage we can share. The 4 ships regrouped, their battle-scarred hulls testament to their unexpected victory. Crews exchanged congratulations and began sharing their experiences, each ship having discovered its own unique ways to use their improvised weapons. The Empire's going to come back, Lisa said, looking at the tactical display where the enemy ships were retreating. They'll try to adapt to our tactics. Let them try, Walker replied. We'll just keep changing the rules. That's the advantage of using systems that were never meant for combat. There's always another way to use them that nobody expects. As repair drones swarmed over their hulls, fixing battle damage, The 4 ships began transmitting their combat data to other converted cargo vessels throughout human space. Each victory, each innovation, each desperate improvisation became part of a growing library of unconventional warfare techniques. The Empire had wanted a conventional war, but instead, they'd gotten something they couldn't understand. A fleet of ships that fought like ghosts, using technology so old it had been forgotten, in ways that had never been imagined. And somewhere in the depths of these ancient ships, reactors that should have been obsolete were learning, changing, evolving into something new. Something that would change the face of space warfare forever. 2 months after their first victory, the Persistence led a fleet of 30 converted cargo ships toward the Empire's main battle group. Each ship had once been a simple hauler, but now they were something else, something that had the Empire's admirals losing sleep. Enemy fleet holding position near the jump point. Lisa reported from her tactical station. 43 warships, including their new flagship. Walker nodded, studying the tactical display. The Empire had gathered their largest fleet yet, determined to end the threat of these converted cargo ships once and for all. All ships reporting ready, the communications officer announced. The reactor synchronization network is active. Thompson had outdone himself with that innovation. By linking the ancient reactors of all 30 ships, they could create phantom signatures on a massive scale, making their fleet appear to be hundreds of vessels strong. Signal all ships, Walker ordered. Begin Operation Ghost Storm. The converted cargo fleet split into 5 groups, their reactors projecting false signatures that made each group appear to be a full battle squadron. The Empire fleet's sensors lit up with hundreds of apparent targets, their computers struggling to determine which were real. Enemy fleet is launching fighters, Lisa called out. Lots of them. They're trying to get visual confirmation of our numbers. Deploy the drones, Walker commanded. Show them our latest trick. From the cargo holds of every converted ship, swarms of maintenance drones emerge. But these weren't the simple repurposed repair units they'd started with. Thompson and the other engineers had been busy, creating new variants specialized for different combat roles. Some drones carried magnetic pulse generators, ready to disrupt enemy shields. Others were equipped with modified cargo grapples, capable of catching and redirecting enemy missiles. A third type used cutting tools to slice through hull armor. But the real surprise was yet to come. All ships, activate the resonance fields, Walker ordered. Thompson had discovered this capability by accident while studying the linked reactor patterns. When properly synchronized, the old reactors could generate fields that made Empire energy weapons refract and scatter, turning their own firepower against them. The Empire fleet opened fire, their energy beams and missiles streaking toward the converted cargo ships. But the resonance fields caught the energy weapons, bending them in impossible ways, while cargo grapples snatched missiles out of space. They're trying to jam our reactor network, Thompson reported. But they can't. These old systems are too primitive for their modern jamming techniques to affect. Sometimes, Walker thought, being outdated was the best defense. Star Trader reports successful penetration of enemy lines. Lisa announced. Their cargo bay catapults are launching the new drone carriers. This was their master stroke. They'd converted cargo containers into drone carriers, each one holding hundreds of smaller drones. The containers were launched at high speed toward enemy formations, breaking apart to release their swarms precisely where they were needed. The Empire fleet's formation began to crumble as they found themselves fighting enemies they couldn't properly target, using weapons that sometimes turned against them, while swarms of drones methodically dismantled their ships. Their flagship is moving, Lisa reported. They're trying to coordinate a counterattack. Now, Walker ordered. All ships, execute pattern ghost dance. The 30 cargo ships moved in perfect synchronization, their linked reactors creating a massive web of false signatures and energy distortions. To Empire sensors, it would appear as if space itself was coming apart. Enemy ships are losing targeting lock, Lisa called out. Their formation is breaking down completely. Walker watched as the mighty Empire fleet fell into chaos. Their advanced technology, designed to fight conventional battles, proved useless against opponents that refused to fight conventionally. Multiple Empire ships powering down weapons, Lisa reported, excitement in her voice. They're signaling surrender. The bridge crew cheered, but Walker kept his focus. Maintain combat stance. Thompson, status of the reactor network. Stable and getting stronger, the engineer replied. The patterns we're seeing now. Sir, I think these old reactors are creating something entirely new. The way they're linking and adapting, it's beyond anything in our database. The Empire flagship, its weapons silent, began broadcasting on all frequencies. The message was simple. They wanted to talk. They're requesting a ceasefire, the communications officer reported. Their admiral wants to meet. Walker smiled. The Empire had finally realized that their technological superiority meant nothing against human ingenuity and adaptation. Their mighty warships had been defeated by cargo haulers that should have been easy prey. Signal all ships, Walker ordered. Stand down combat operations but maintain defensive posture. And get me a channel to the Empire flagship. As the two fleets hung in space, their positions marked by the scattered debris of battle, Walker reflected on how far they'd come. The Persistence, a ship that should never have survived its first fight, had sparked a revolution in space warfare. Message from command, the communications officer announced. They're calling this the turning point of the war. Every cargo ship in human space is being converted using our methods. Thompson looked up from his engineering station. It's more than that, sir. What we've discovered here, these reactor patterns, and the way they adapt, this could change everything. Not just warfare, but space travel, energy generation, everything. Walker nodded. They'd started with a desperate attempt to survive, but they'd ended up discovering something that could reshape humanity's future, all because they'd been forced to look at their old, outdated systems in new ways. Sir, Lisa called out, the other ships are requesting permission to perform a victory formation. Granted, Walker said. They've earned it. The 30 converted cargo ships moved into a precise formation, their battle-scarred hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. They were no longer just cargo haulers playing at being warships. They had become something new, a force that had changed the rules of space warfare forever. The Empire fleet, once so proud and mighty, remained silent as negotiations began. They had learned a harsh lesson. Sometimes the most dangerous opponent wasn't the one with the most advanced weapons, but the one who found new ways to use old tools. As Walker prepared for the meeting with the Empire Admiral, he looked at his crew, cargo handlers and engineers who had become warriors, not by choice but by necessity. They had proven that innovation and adaptation were more powerful than any weapon. The Persistence had lived up to its name, persisting against impossible odds, and in doing so, it had shown the way forward for all of humanity. The ship that shouldn't win had done more than just win. It had changed the game entirely.